Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome to another episode of Next Level Love Stories, where we take a behind the scenes look at real life relationships to share the truth about what this adventure of love can look like and what it really takes to succeed. We're your hosts. I'm Dr. Jenny Wallig.
And I'm Coach Calvin O'Seely. And together we're the founders of Powerful Love Relationships and the creators of the Be the One method for creating extraordinary relationships. And today we're excited to welcome Annalie.
Annalie has been married to her husband, Jay, since 2017. And their relationship is built on communication, emotional intelligence, and resilience since they lived 5,000 miles apart when they first met. They had both come to a point that they had been in several very toxic relationships and were both healed, happy, and content in their own independence when they met, meaning they weren't looking for a life partner.
No.
But through their relationship, they finally got to experience how a trusting, communicative partner can be someone who respects, supports, and shares values and goals. This is the healthy love that they'd never experienced before, without jealousies or insecurities or fears getting in the way of the love they share. Both Annalie and Jay have truly seen the difference between the toxic relationships and healthy relationships, which has inspired Annalie's work as a women's rebuild coach, where she supports women on the same crucial healing journey that is necessary to attract future healthy relationships.
So good.
And she's here today to share some of that wisdom with us. Annalie, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That's an awesome welcome and a very great, inspiring introduction, I have to say. I almost get inspired myself. I hear
Yes. I mean, it's true. Your story is a very inspiring story.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start there. Tell us about this, the love story between you and Jay, where you were before you met, what meeting looked like, and how it unfolded after that.
Yeah, so it was a pretty crazy start, considering that we both were very happy alone, independent lives. We were happily single. We were both working. I was living in Sweden, as I do now still, and he was living in Dallas, Texas.
Wow.
Living our lives, had no
Very
idea that, someone were waiting on the other side of the pond. We had both been in, like you said, previous relationships where we had experienced a range of these toxic dynamics with lack of respect and no really mutual values or common interests, lack of boundaries, bad communication. And we both decided to be social in some sort of way. So we went on an app for, I can't remember the name of it. He probably can, but it wasn't a dating app. It was just, connect with people globally. And yeah, we met on the first day. I was on the app and then I had to delete it because you get all kinds of odd messages as a woman out there, even if it's not a dating app. But yes, and we were both in a place where we didn't look for someone. So we had both made our minds up before we met someone new. We were going to put all of our cards on the table. All our non-negotiables, everything we need in a relationship, and our history, because we felt like we had really nothing to lose. So it was very relaxed. So we did that, all cards on the table. And yeah, it just started there. We actually, first couple of days, I did not know what he looked like because he had a picture with a bike helmet on, like all black. So I had no idea. So I just felt this wow feeling, and when and after the second day of talking, I felt like we really connected, and I asked, can we see each other on video chat, because it's an important step, just so you know who you're connecting with. And yeah, two days later, I remember sending a text to my close friend saying that meet my future husband. This is it.
Wow.
This is amazing. He fell down from the sky. And 3 weeks later, I went to Dallas
Oh my
and
God.
met him at the airport.
Wow.
And it was also, on top of everything else, this instant physical attraction,
Wow.
Cool.
which, of course, we were both a little bit nervous about because you
Mhm.
never really know until you see each
Mhm.
other.
Mm-hmm.
And then we got married the second time we met
Oh my
in
goodness.
Miami 4 months later. So we had in total spent 8 days together the
Mhm.
day we got married. And we also got our wedding bands
Oh, wow.
matching
Amazing.
I
matching
mean, that's
tattoos.
commitment. Like marriage is one thing, but tattooing a wedding band on, like you can't take that shit off very easily.
Yeah, and it's a great symbol because we both had never thought that we would meet anyone again, get married, or even worse, tattoo than our names on each other.
Mm-hmm.
So we just knew we fell for the other person's respect for individuality and independence,
Mm-hmm.
and also security. And I mean, like, not being insecure.
Mm-hmm.
We could feel that genuine internal self-confidence with the other person.
Mm-hmm.
And also we had very matching values and life goals when it came to family and money and freedom and all of these things that were
Mhm.
very important for both of us.
Mhm.
And yeah, we built a very well functioning and safe and supportive bond since we spent then 2.5 years living 5,000 miles away.
Wow.
So, I mean, the hours we spent communicating is incredible.
Yeah.
And it's almost something I would recommend to any couple to do that much communication before you actually create the life where you're living together.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we got married because we felt like, no, this is it. We want to show our commitment because we knew. And yeah, he became my best friend very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, then we moved in together after 2.5 years. He came over here, and that's a whole other story. All the formalities, it's very difficult, but
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
we went through all of that with the residence permits and all of this because we started missing sharing the boring everyday life
Mm-hmm.
that we do have that now, but we
Mm-hmm.
missed it after a couple of years. I went to see him a lot. We went to Disney World and we went to Las Vegas and New York and all of this. And it was amazing, but we missed the boring everyday life. It's what we
Mhm.
wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah, so that was it. And I also had, I can mention, I had, a daughter from a previous relationship that was about 7 or 8 when
Mm-hmm.
we met, just turned 9 when he moved over here. So that was also an extra challenge, like a positive challenge, of course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that's like the story about how we met and he got here, and then I got pregnant pretty fast. So now we have a daughter that's 4, and
Oh,
yeah,
congratulations.
yeah. Thank you so much.
You know what I mean, there's so much about your story that is really striking and inspirational. But one thing that's really landing for me is that both you and Jay were like not not intending to have this experience in your life. Like you'd stopped kind of expecting it or looking for it or
Hoping.
hoping for it, right? You were really content in your independence. And
But something brought you to the apps.
well, but
I mean,
it wasn't a dating app. It was like a connect with
Yeah.
people around the world app.
yeah, true.
so we're human. We want connection, even
Yeah.
if we're not looking for romantic partnership. Um, I what I would love for you to share a little bit about is like what you think you had to learn or who you had to become in order to be in this place to attract or like to connect with someone who you could build such a healthy relationship with so quickly and in such, in many ways, challenging circumstances. Like,
Yeah.
what was it about you? Who did you have to be? What had you
Yes, I
learn?
think I think that for sure we had to come with the experience that we did.
Mm.
And I'm so thankful that we both did, and they timed up and we met each other, right?
Mhm.
It's scary almost to think about how easy it could be to not meet each other.
Yeah.
And maybe we would both still be happily single, who knows? But yes, we both had to be in enough bad relationships to realize what we didn't want and what we really wanted.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And for me personally, I think it was the same for Jay. We felt like we have always really just enjoyed our own company because we can be completely who we are, uh, and we we both came to a place where we didn't really need any external validation.
Mm.
Uh,
Mhm.
and I think that was a big one for me because I grew up becoming a people pleaser.
Mhm.
And I felt like I needed that external source, someone to tend to and take care of and make happy for me to be happy.
Mhm. Mhm. So you kind
Yeah.
of had worked through that, recovered
Yes,
from your people pleasing.
yes,
It's a big
I'm
one.
in recovery. It
Mhm.
comes up every now and then, but I'm in recovery. Can proudly say.
Yeah. That's
And
great.
I think that it was crucial to almost hit rock bottom,
Mm.
to be able to then build build ourselves and just our own foundations, and
Mhm.
be just not be broken, be a complete person before
Mhm.
you meet someone else, because you're not supposed to meet someone else to complete yourself. It's
Yeah.
just supposed to be a bonus on top of this foundation you have yourself of being
Yeah.
just confident, connected to your self-worth, and your values and everything that makes you you.
Mhm.
Totally.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Two whole people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I want to just like highlight that because it's so important, and I think that it can get missed in the stories that people have about relationships, like completing us or being my better half or you make me whole.
Mhm.
And I think that you're so right, Annalie, that we need to be whole ourselves. We need to know our own worth. We need to know who we are and what we
Mm.
desire. We need to be like a complete person so that we don't need the other person to feel good enough, to feel happy, to feel complete. And then they simply become a bonus to our life. Like
Yeah.
this lovely value add that we can appreciate and treasure, but not need to like hang on to because we're not going to be okay
Yeah.
if something doesn't work out. And
Mhm.
that changes the whole dynamic of of how you engage in your relationship. And you mentioned earlier, right, that like it felt just really easy, that there wasn't a lot of pressure because your cards were all out on the table, and like you didn't
Yeah.
have expectations, or you weren't
Take
really
it or leave
attached
it.
to it.
It doesn't
Exactly.
sound very romantic, but I think that's also part of the problem, that it's sometimes a bit
Yeah.
romanticized to
Yes.
find your other half. It's literally
Yes.
right. And that's something I'm trying to teach my clients too, that no, your other half is in here.
Mm-hmm.
Fill that void before you can
Mm-hmm.
have someone else as, just as like you said, Jenny, a bonus to who you are. and
Mhm.
someone to, level up with, right?
Yep.
That's that's really why I would say that our relationship is a next level
Mhm.
relationship, right? Because we had built that really solid foundation on our own and done the work, and then we met, which is
Mhm.
next level. And it's sometimes a bit difficult to even describe the difference to someone who has not experienced being in a relationship when you're whole yourself and the person you're in the relationship with is also whole. It's almost a bit difficult to describe to someone who's not experienced that yet, what that
Mhm.
feels like, because I know I had not experienced that before I met my husband. So
Mhm.
yeah, and that's probably why I thought that I'd just be happy alone.
Mhm.
Love was a bit overrated, maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah. But then, yeah, it just happened.
Mhm. Yeah.
So good. Well, so I would love to hear a little bit about, because I think it's this part, but I'd also, you guys being two whole people coming together, um, and not having in ways, right, the complication of being in one another's presence as much to, I don't know, maybe create a lot of the conflict that couples do experience when they meet under different circumstances. And you guys spent 2.5 years in a relationship with one another, 5,000 miles apart. We did 3,000 for a year and a half. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that's
But
nothing.
like, can you share a little bit about like what led to the success, how you all made it work? I know you said you kind of met and had vacation experiences,
Mhm.
saw each other, but help us just kind of understand, what did it take to get through successfully those 2.5 years?
I think that of course, the way we started the relationship, the all cards on the table,
Mm.
this is who I am. So at an early stage, we can both see if this is something worth building on.
Sure.
I think it's different if you're still holding things back and you discover things as time goes by.
Mhm.
We all have bad sides too, and maybe not the things in our past that we're the most proud of.
Right.
And I think if those things are held back from the start, when you live so far apart, the trust is going to be a little bit maybe harder to build if you notice that the other person is holding back. And they might be holding back because
Mm.
they're afraid to show they're ugly, right?
Mhm.
And they're the things they're not proud of. So I think that just the honesty and transparency from the start was
Mm-hmm.
very, very
Yes.
important.
Yeah. I love
And I think that also we both made an effort to always, we both took responsibility for checking in with each other, how we're
Mm.
feeling, how we're doing. It wasn't just one of us always. It was both ways. It was give and
Mhm.
take. So I think
Mhm.
that was a key as well.
Yeah.
And of course, the foundation of a friendship. I can see that now. I'm at the age
Mm.
where I have children, I do my career, I have very little time with my closest friends, but it does not matter. We might see each other twice a year, but the friendship is always there.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think that was a very important part also to make
Mhm.
make our relationship last for the first few years when we weren't together.
Mhm.
Um, and yeah, communication. I mean, it's everything we did. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's so important to feel seen and heard
Yeah.
and respected, even though you're far apart. And
Mhm.
I felt in the end of my previous relationship, that was the one that was most difficult for me.
Mhm.
I felt almost more distant from the man I was living with in the same house than this man that is across the ocean.
Wow.
Mhm.
And for me,
real.
that was mind blowing to just see what really good trust and communication can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's, and of course, that we both thrive in independence.
Mm-hmm.
I think, of course, that is always going to be a key to
Yeah.
success
That's
in a long distance
definitely
relationship.
a helpful quality when you're living 5,000 miles apart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you say have been like the biggest challenges that you two have gone through? Because I mean, yes, I'm sure living so far apart for 2.5 years was hard, and also the way that you are describing your relationship, it's like it's so good, it's so beautiful. Has it always been that perfect, or are you also um, a normal couple in that you experience challenges and conflicts sometimes?
Yeah,
And if
like
so,
adjusting to life in person every day.
if so,
Yeah, I mean,
can you speak to that? Like, what challenges do you guys face, and then how do you get through them?
yeah, I mean, we're awesome, but we're also normal.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have, of course, we have our ups and downs. Like everybody says, all relationship has its ups and downs,
Mhm.
and that is also something that I've learned by being with my husband. Is what is healthy ups and downs,
Mm.
and a healthy amount of conflicts, and all of this that sometimes it's a bit hard to tell if when where's the difference between a toxic dynamic and just normal conflicts that you
Yeah.
and problems that you and challenges that you do face in a marriage
Mm-hmm.
or in a relationship. And I mean, the first part was probably, the culture shock. I mean, we're two Western countries, so it's not too
Mm-hmm.
different, but there's still differences that we had to get used to. And it's a little bit delicate when one person is leaving everything.
Yeah.
I have a big responsibility when I bring someone. I mean, I imported someone to this country to leave
Mhm.
everything he knew to come, and I have a big responsibility to, okay, how can I make this as comfortable as possible, but without compromising too much on who I am?
Mhm.
Just introduce into a new country, a new language, and all of this. So that was the challenge, and all the formalities and things like that.
Sure.
I mean, he was born on Cuba, Jay, so he had to go back to Cuba when his residence card was ready. He had to go back to Cuba to get the card and then get okay to come back here, and all of these crazy things,
Oh
while
my
we also then
gosh.
had a newborn baby. He had to leave. Uh,
Wow.
and fortunately, we do we do complement each other in some ways. We're a good match in the way that I am very calm, very methodological, very yeah, I'm very calm and patient.
Mhm.
While he might not be as calm and patient always. So we had to also find that balance, I think, between our personalities. Uh, that is, so we sort of just accepted that, okay, I'm more calm, and that doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that I don't care or that I don't think that it's a problem. It
Mhm.
just means that I process things differently.
Mhm.
And just because he gets upset and complain about things, that doesn't mean that I have to fix things for him.
Right.
So, and all of these things, you don't really see them until, okay, let's spend every day and night together for years.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's when
Mhm.
those things come out. So, sort of
Mhm.
like just matching our personalities, right, to find each other on the everyday boring life level.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, becoming parents together, and also then him becoming a bonus parent to my 9-year-old.
Yeah.
The 9-year-old girl, you're already starting to, get into puberty and all of everything that comes with that. And
Mhm.
then you're supposed to have, is it a father figure? Is it another adult in the house? What's the relationship? That took some work too.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, because he had never raised a child that age, and he was maybe not really supposed to either, but he
Yeah.
was supposed to back up me. But would he have made the same choices as I do if he had his own daughter? That, all of these
Mhm.
parenting dynamics,
Yeah.
and then a new baby on top of that, where we really had to, okay.
Well, that's a lot.
And parenting and raising kids, money, all of these things. And we talked for 2.5 years about those things. So
Mm-hmm.
we were very prepared in theory.
Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Only takes
I
you
love that
so
you say
far.
that.
So we were prepared up to our teeth, really. But then, reality happens. And sometimes you think you feel a certain way until you're there.
Yeah.
And then you see
100%.
that, oh, okay, no, it's different. I don't feel that way anymore.
Yeah.
Mhm. Totally.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then
So
it's also been, a bit of a financial strain. I mean, I've been, before I became a coach, I was working as a school principal, so I had a pretty good salary, fortunately, so I could be there financially. For We didn't have to have that stress of him finding a job the day he moved here and all of
Sure.
that, since it's the language barrier and stuff. So of course, when the finances is, some months worse off than other months, that's also going to be extra stress on the relationship.
yeah.
So we also had to find each other financially and meet each other
Mhm.
financially to see, okay, are we going to have separate accounts, joint accounts? What is excessive spending? What is necessary to spend on? What's not necessary? What we're going to save for, and all of this. So that was
Mhm.
another challenge, I'll say, for us.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're definitely a normal couple because you're challenged
Yeah.
by being different and parenting and money and some of the daily living things. And when life piles up with a number of stresses all at once.
Yeah.
Um,
And I
so
think can I just add
yes,
something
please,
else?
please.
Uh, since I am in my own work, I work a lot with finding women's subconscious patterns and dynamics and fears and all of this that you bring from your childhood or earlier relationships into your new ones. So
Mhm.
that's also something that we've had to work on, both of us. Uh, Not as much as we would have needed if we met earlier in life, of course, because we had grown a lot, healed a lot before we met.
Mhm.
But just as an example, since in earlier relationships, I've been with men who have been very insecure in themselves. Which, when I'm coming here and I'm independent and I'm strong, and I one of my goals in life is to grow. I want to grow professionally. I want to
Mhm.
grow personally. And if you're with this insecure person, this will be a threat to them or to the relationship. Or
Can be.
uh, so I have experienced that sometimes I bring that fear into this relationship with my husband.
Yeah. The fear that he will feel threatened by your desire to grow.
The fear that sometimes he says things
Mhm.
and then I see it as a red flag.
Ah,
But I see it as a red flag because it is something I've experienced before,
right.
not because there's something wrong in the relationship.
Yes. Yeah.
And
So
this
like
is
the
something that,
hard. ships of the past inform how you're
Yes.
interpreting the present.
Yes. So that has been something that
Mm-hmm.
I've had to work on a lot. And I can take a concrete example. I've Since I'm a people pleaser or recovered people pleaser, I've had to work a lot with self-care and taking time for myself. Also, when you have a business and you're a mother and you're a wife and you're a house owner, sometimes it comes really furthest down on your priority list.
Sure.
Yeah.
But so going out for long walks or taking a nice bath or things like that. And a couple of times, my husband, when I tell him that, oh, I'm going out for that walk when, the kids go to bed and I can just go out and it's bright late here in Sweden, the sun is still up. Yeah. And then he's been joking, saying, I thought we were going to watch a movie or something like that in a joking way.
Mm-hmm.
But since before, my previous partners would have done that to actually guilt trip me into, no, you're
Not
mine.
taking care of yourself.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would you not want to be with me?
Mm-hmm.
We had to really have a conversation about it when I had to sit down with him and say that this is not because I think that you are this way, that my ex was. This is, I have to make you aware of this, that I react this way and I feel this way, even though I know it's just a joke and you don't mean it. I need you to be aware of it because it makes me feel a certain way because these are old scars that I'm carrying with me.
Mm.
Be like, oh, I understand you're, and can also say to me in a very loving way that I'm sensitive, like in a way that's not judging.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I understand you're sensitive about this.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of the, oh, you're just sensitive. That's a big
Mhm.
difference. Just examples like that, where you have to be very aware of, always be very aware of your own part in
Yes.
relationship dynamics and never just point the finger and say that this person
Mm-hmm.
is probably a narcissist or this person is
Mm-hmm.
probably insecure.
Yeah.
No, it's, you have to look at the whole picture.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad you're speaking to that because it's really central to the work that we do with couples too. And your example is a beautiful illustration of how that can look, like the recognition that my own stuff is coming up and
Mhm.
affecting how I'm
Seeing it.
receiving this, right? How it feels to me. And that doesn't mean that you did something wrong.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean that you're the problem. It means that this is a part of who I am, and I want you to be aware of it so that, like, I don't have to experience, the sensitivity, this discomfort that's coming up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's totally different. You're still communicating, like, essentially, I don't want you to joke about stuff like that. That doesn't feel good for me. But instead of saying it like you did something wrong, you're owning, like, this isn't about what you did as wrong. This is about what I carry inside me, the scars that
Yeah.
I carry. And I just want you to be aware that there's a sensitivity here. There's that Cal and I sometimes talk about, like, the landmines.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's, like,
Yeah.
right here, that's where a landmine is. Please don't step there
Yeah.
because it could go off. And when you can help your partner map your inner world like that so that they can be more successful in loving you, right? Not only have you supported them in being successful, you've really, like, owned yourself
Hmm.
and contributed positively in your part what you can do to make the relationship work.
Yes.
And that
Yes.
is such a in many ways a revolutionary concept, because it's so easy to see our partners as the cause of our feelings as
Yes.
opposed to, like, our own stuff and our own filters as the cause of the feelings, because it's how we're interpreting what our partner did.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think it's also a lot of people in relationships that feel like their partners are very bad mind readers
Right.
because
Because they
because
are.
they normally are. right? And sometimes I think that we expect that our partner should know how we feel
Yeah.
and should know where these buried landmines are, even though we don't always know ourselves.
Yeah.
It's something you have to map out together.
Yep.
And I think that's also key, that you can't really communicate too much, right? You can't be too transparent if you're doing it if it comes from a good place.
Yeah.
But you can sometimes build up bitterness if you, I still do it sometimes, where I go a little bit too long not talking about a certain thing. So I fall into the trap. I feel like he should know that I feel this way, or he should know
Right.
that I'm thinking this way. And then,
Yep.
oh no, he can't read my mind, so
Yep.
I should probably just bring it up.
So
Yeah.
that-
Even when you've told him before,
Yeah.
right? Like that's. I was just having a conversation with a client this morning about how, like our partners might know this thing about us in some part of their brain, but that doesn't mean that they've connected the dots in this moment, right? So we can't assume that they are thinking about or interpreting or anticipating our experience the way that we want them to, and we gotta help remind them. We gotta help them understand, and that for us feels like true partnership, when we're looking at how do I help my partner succeed in loving me, in honoring me, and how do I pay enough attention to them to love them the best too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important, that you can see a clear difference when it's a partner that is insecure, or if it's someone that, there's a safe connection here and we're both stable and whole. Because if I use I statements and say, okay, when you said that like this, that made me feel like this. If your partner is insecure, suddenly it's going to be about that person. And, oh, you tell me I did something wrong, or I did, they become, they take it personally. But it's not really about that. It's about listening to how I perceive a situation or something that was said or done. And there's no blaming, and there's no pointing fingers. It's just communication, and you need to just continue understanding each other. You can't just get to know each other back in 2017 and then everything. It's
Yeah.
going to be new challenges, and you're going to grow and change as people as well.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, which reminds me too of as you're talking about the security piece, and that in some relationships their partner is insecure, and they do get defensive when we bring stuff up, or they feel really sensitive because of dynamics that haven't been going well in the relationship. And I just want to name, as you're speaking about this growing and continuing to learn about one another process, that no matter where you start in your relationship, like you and Jay started at a really good place because you've done the work, you're still growing and learning. And some people are starting down here with their partner or their spouse. They haven't done the work. But that doesn't mean the relationship can't work. It just means now you have to do that work within the relationship to heal your insecurities, to become a recovering people pleaser, to gain that self-awareness, to learn how to receive feedback without being defensive. We could do that work independently and then find a person. But if you've found that person, you still have to do that independent work, right? To level up your relationship.
Yeah.
And there's not really a place where that work is done. You're still in an ongoing process. Does that make sense? Resonate?
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think it's it's a very good illustration because we always need to, like, the foundation of growth is always going to come from within.
Mhm.
Even if we're growing together and we're learning from each other, the development has to happen in here. And I think that if you go through that as partners, I think that is one of the best foundations for relationship to stand on.
Mhm.
If you are actually a little bit broken and you manage to grow independently but still stay together, I think a lot of the times one person grows faster or is more
Yes.
open
Mhm.
to take the next step, and the other person is more, they won't be able to catch up, and
Yeah.
that's when you grow apart.
Mhm.
But I've seen many couples actually manage to grow together. They might have met when they were really young. And actually, my own parents is a good example of it, because they met when my parents met. My mother was 16 and my dad was 25. God, I would never allow that. It was back in the day, right there, the
Right.
70s or whatever. And then she had a phase through her 20s where she met other men, and she did her years of being wild, and while my dad was waiting patiently, maybe he had a bit of fun too. And
Mm.
but they've always been there next to each other and been there for each other, and then they were married for 30 years after that.
Amazing.
And they're still very good friends, right? So I think that is a very good foundation for a relationship too,
Yeah.
if you manage to sort of grow in the same pace and kind of in the same direction, right? Because you
Definitely.
still need to not be a drain on the other person in the long run, and not hold the other person back.
Mhm.
Yeah, ideally. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's so good.
Yeah.
So I'd love for you to share a little bit more about what your next level looks like. What is next for you and Jay? What is your next level in your love?
Yes, I thought a little bit about this. And I mean, for us, it's really now we focus a lot on, of course, now I'm starting my business. We want to get to a point where my business is doing really well. I mean, it's doing good now, but I want it to do really well.
Mhm.
I want to uh, host retreats, and I want to have big scale group coaching and all of this.
Mhm.
And then we would like my husband to be able to also start his own business, so we can get, as a family, a lot more freedom. So we can have a lot more quality time together. And now we've been hustling for a few years,
Mhm.
and we would like to get to the point within a couple of years where we have a lot more freedom.
Mhm.
Maybe we can. We want to get a little bit better with scheduling
Mhm.
quality time together
Mhm.
as just the two of us, right? Because yeah, having a business and children, and we got this house a year ago. There's a lot of other things that is
Oh yeah.
taking that energy away from the relationship. So I would say that's the next level, to really both better care of us as a couple.
Mhm.
And a part of doing that is, I think, get even more freedom,
Mhm.
and also the financial part of it, of course,
Mhm.
to be able to do more exciting things together.
Mhm.
So good.
Love
Yeah.
it.
And also, I think that we both also want to do, he wants to get his motorcycle. It's like his thing before, he has not got to that point yet. So he wants to do that for himself. And I really want to see him do that, because I know it makes him so happy.
Mhm.
And I want to maybe go, I love camping, and he's never understood that, but it makes me happy. So maybe I want to go and take an amazing trip to I don't know, a country far away to do that. Spend
Mhm.
some money on that, on just something
Mm.
that I love doing. So we can also see each other go on our own individual adventures.
Mm.
I think that's an amazing feeling when you got to the point where, like, wow, I'm so happy that my husband is away doing this.
Yeah.
Awesome. He's
Yeah.
gonna come back so glowing.
Yeah.
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 And
There's
feeling like you can do exactly the same thing and he's gonna feel the same way. I think that
Mhm.
that is priceless.
Yeah, that when you can get to that point where you are feeling joyful about your partner's joy,
Hmm.
Yeah.
you
Yeah. I
know?
think that's a true sign of true love, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
100%. Wow. So good. I'm excited for you guys to get there. And it reminds me of um like the way that when your relationship has kind of moved beyond this place of good and stable, right? Like there's like your relationships are maybe struggling or hard. We work with a lot of people in that place, right? And then you get
Yeah.
to good and stable. But like there's more beyond that, because now it's like now we are like, how do we create our dream life?
Yeah.
How do we enjoy each other more? How
Hmm.
do
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
inject more joy and adventure into this life that we're living, right? Like now the level up is like, how do we make this good thing like even better? How we make
Yeah.
our life exceptional, and we can use that love, that relationship, that connection to inspire and energize all of those other dreams. And that's
Yeah.
that's the sweet spot, right? Like
Hmm.
that's where it
Yeah.
gets really good and
And
fun.
I think that's why it's what's really interesting to think a little bit about that question.
Mm-hmm.
Like, next level, what would that be? And it felt inspiring. It felt like, yeah, it's we have an awesome marriage and we're very happy with each other. And then what?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What can we build on that? Oh, I don't know. And it feels inspiring. It feels exciting too.
Yes.
And that was, maybe we want to try something, try learning salsa or whatever, just something
Mhm.
to explore together, something completely new. Maybe we want to think we both would like to skydive. So let's do that. And
Mhm. Yeah.
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 I love talking with couples about that and
Yeah.
supporting them in like that chapter of their relationship where
Yeah.
they're
The
like,
fun stuff.
yeah, going
Yeah.
beyond like working through challenges and into like how do we make this relationship the driving
Yeah.
force of our dreams coming true.
Hmm.
And also, if you look more long term and maybe a bit more serious, on a more serious note, to something that is very close to my heart,
Mm-hmm.
it would be to see in a few years to come, couple decades, to witness how I have taught my two daughters the
Yeah.
right kind of values. I've
Mm.
been the right sort of role model for love, self
Mm.
respect, healthy relationships, setting boundaries. It's a very long term thing.
Oh, but it's
But
real.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think when we can sit down in the evening in the sofa as a couple in 10, 15 years to come and
Uh-huh.
look at our two daughters, and so they've understood this thing. Of course, you need to make some mistakes, but
Of course.
I think that would be like the ultimate reward as
Yes.
a woman and as a parent and
Mm-hmm.
also as a couple because we're a team. We've done this together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just be able to see that this was our gift to them,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
it has bloomed now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it ripples across
Exactly.
generations.
Any
Yeah,
kids that they might have.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
and that is, I would say that's maybe the main purpose that hits home for me for the work I
Mhm.
do is I don't just help a divorced or single woman to feel more confident.
Mhm.
It's what I do, but it's so much more, right?
Mhm.
I create also a mother, a sister, a daughter, a friend, a colleague, whatever it might be, that is a very stable, confident person who can set healthy boundaries and model that for other people.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the most powerful things I can create in the world, is a strong, confident, emotionally free woman
Mm.
who can teach her children that, and
Yeah.
they can teach their grandchildren that. And it's like, oh, it gives me goosebumps thinking about it.
I love it. Yeah, it's so good.
It's like a legacy
Yes.
spreading around here.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. That's how we feel too about our work. Well, and we have one more question for you, but while we're on the subject of it, we would love for you to share a little bit more about any offers you may have going on, or how people can get in touch with you. If there's a woman out there listening to this and saying, I want to be that woman, I want to have that freedom, I want to be able to give that to my kids, how can they connect with you, Anna Lee?
Yeah, so this is what I do for a living and full time. So I'm always here online. No, Facebook is really my main platform,
Okay.
and my coaching business is called Unchain Coaching, and I started
Unchained,
a Unchain Coaching.
Unchained coaching. Okay.
Yes, and I've been doing this for a while now, but I simply help women rebuild themselves and their lives after breakup or divorce. Often, my main focus is maybe women who have gone through toxic relationships, and especially the
Mhm.
ones who have this cycle of several toxic relationships in the past that finally wants to break the cycle. But the focus is really on healing trauma bonds so you can reach this emotional freedom.
Mhm.
Many women feel stuck and empty and isolated and feel like they've lost a connection with themselves.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So they're, taking back power over their lives and the dynamics and in the relationships that they've been victims of. They can now take power over that and learn some strategies and tools to not end up in those situations again, and really just build up their confidence from the
Amazing.
bottom and up. So they will be in the same optimal situation, independent and happily single,
Yes.
thriving. And then when they bump into that partner, they're going to attract the right type of partner because they
Yes.
are complete themselves. And
Mhm.
uh, yeah, and also it's the butterfly effect, right? They're not just
Mhm.
doing it for themselves; it's for their children, for their families.
Mhm.
I mean, it's mental health in the end.
Yeah.
What is more important than that?
Yeah.
And I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, so you can follow me on either platforms. And my main forum and where I share the most content is my Facebook group that is
Okay.
called Unchained Women, and it's a breakup and divorce support group.
Awesome.
And you can apply to join, and then I share like all my resources and advice, inspiration. And I'm also going to start having little workshops and things like that. So you can
Oh,
really start
fabulous.
taking some steps towards healing
Mhm.
and moving forward.
This sounds
And
like a great
then
resource.
I do have my flagship program, which is called my Women's Rebuild coaching program, which is a one-on-one coaching program.
Mhm.
Really effective. We work with each other for a couple months to really achieve what therapy did for me, and it took a few years
Yeah.
because it's so focused on exactly these type of challenges
Yes. Beautiful.
that you come with as a broken woman
Mhm.
coming out of these type of relationships. And that's why I designed it. I wanted to do this for other women because I know how lonely and isolating it can be
Mhm.
when you come out of the other side being very broken and have really hit rock bottom and have to build yourself up in some way.
Mhm. Love
And
it.
I've had the oldest client I've had was 71 years old,
Wow.
and she of course, she thought there was no chance of getting this new exciting chapter
Yeah.
and even meeting someone new. But
Yep.
just the other week, she contacted me and said she was really happy because she hadn't met someone at the local bowling club, and they were going to meet up. They were going to have a
Oh my
date,
gosh.
So good.
That's awesome.
and she had booked a painting course or something like
Mhm.
that, and she was yeah, just seeing how that late in life, it's not too late.
Mhm.
Too old, you're never too broken. You can
Mhm.
always rebuild who you are and get a better future. So
It's so
yeah.
good.
What a great story. Awesome.
So yeah, and the routine is normally that, send me a message and let me know that you're ready and you want to make this change. And then we book a free clarity call where we can
Mhm.
just, get to know each other a bit to see if I can help and how that would look.
Beautiful.
Cool.
We will make sure that we have the links posted
Yeah.
in the show notes.
Mhm.
So it makes it really easy for anyone listening or watching to get access to you. Clearly, this is really
Mhm.
this is work that you know well because you've lived through it, and I think that is always the most important
It
testimonial.
makes the best teachers too.
Yeah. It's the hardest way, but it's the absolute best way
It
to
is.
Yeah.
It is. You know it in an embodied level when you've lived it, as opposed to just
Yeah.
learned it.
Yeah.
Kind of cognitively. So as we wrap up, we've got one final question we would love for you to share with us and our listeners, which is this: what is your biggest piece of advice or words of wisdom for folks who want to create their own next level love?
So I have a few, and sometimes I have to stop myself because I got so much to say. But so I'll try to choose a few that are my top five, maybe. But the first one is that love is not enough. It sounds very boring, but it's something I've learned the hard way, and Jay as well, that love is not enough in a relationship. You need to have the respect, mutual values, boundaries. And if those things are not there, it is not going to work in the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's something I hear a lot of the women that do contact me because they're still in a relationship that they feel like they probably should not be in. And they go, but I love him, but I love her.
Mm-hmm.
It's it can be sometimes an excuse to stay in a relationship that is not really good for you.
Mm-hmm.
So love is not enough. That would be my first one. And another question I use sometimes is, think about it this way: if your partner was your close friend, what would your expectations be?
Mm-hmm.
And work on that friendship, because sometimes that's a bit of an aha moment for people in relationships to think about working on the friendship part. And
Yeah.
it can sometimes give you a little bit of a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, never stop growing, right? It's what
Mm-hmm.
we uh, it's what we're here for. I believe that you
Yes.
need to always grow together and develop together. And if your partner is intimidated by that, you have a bigger problem.
Mm-hmm.
And also, of course, your partner is not a mind reader, and you have a responsibility. We
Oh
already
my
gone through
gosh.
that.
Yeah.
You're responsible for letting people know what you think and feel, and that is so you can protect your own well-being, and that's your
Mm-hmm.
job.
Mm-hmm. Love
Yeah,
that.
and then also another more concrete piece of advice that I like to give is, make an agreement in your relationship about 3 ways that each of you could take 5% more responsibility for
Mm.
the relationship, and go through that every second month or a couple times per year.
Mm-hmm.
It could be about intimacy, maybe being the one that initiates a bit more, or
Mhm.
that explores a bit more, or
Mhm.
quality time together, or communication. It can be really anything, but
Mhm.
I think that's a good way of keeping both parties on their toes.
It's a great idea.
To know that, oh yeah, I need to remember this.
Mhm.
So it's also a good way to grow together as a couple, I think.
Yeah. Awesome.
So good.
That's all super advice, Annalie.
Good advice. Super great advice. I forgot the word. You just said super advice.
Super advice. Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's, yeah.
That's an okay way to say it too.
Yeah, sorry.
It's fabulous. Thank you so much for
It
sharing.
was so
that.
good.
Welcome.
Yeah. Do you wanna walk us out?
Sure. Yeah. Well, first off, we just want to thank you, Annalie, for your story and your vulnerability and kind of sharing your and Jay's journey, the epic journey story of your love.
Thank
And
you
we'd
so
love
much.
to. Oh, sorry. Stepped all
Thank
over
you
you.
so much for letting me take up an hour of your lives to share
Oh,
our story. I'm glad that it can inspire people, and
yes.
that my hard lessons in life can be something that can help other people.
100%.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we know it will. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and we want to thank all of you who are watching. Like, thank you for tuning in, and we hope that you'll join us again next week for another next level love story. And please, if you're so inspired, share your takeaways in the chat. What is it that you learned about love today?